podcast focused on trends shaping the future of manufacturing. I'm Alexandria Bjork, your host, here with A.W. Schultz, two thought leaders with a passion for people and manufacturing. Today and every episode, we are diving deep into the advancements, sustainable practices, and dynamic changes transforming how we produce everything.
And now welcome Alexandria Bjork and A.W. Schultz.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Factor of the Future. I'm here with A.W. Schultz. I'm Alexandria Bjork, and today we are going to be sharing a little story about total productive management. So A.W. went to Australia to produce a wonderful workshop, and he discovered during the night of the workshop a little missing detail that changed the direction of the workshop. So he's going to share with us the missing detail, so stay tuned and at the edge of your seats for that, as well as the different levels of TPM, so we can talk about what beginners need to know, what intermediate TPM managers need to know, and what the experts are talking about. So AW, thank you for bringing this topic to the table, and hopefully I didn't steal your thunder with the sneak preview of the story here, so take us away.
No, you didn't. But I mean, the thing is here's my weakness. Sometimes I don't check the details, and I need to improve on that. I was in Australia last month, and I was asked to come there to do a presentation or a workshop on total productive maintenance or management, whatever you want to go through it. And I put this presentation together with the idea that I'm going to be introducing TPM to this audience of it was a big workshop, about 50 plus people, and they were excited for it. I had a chance to meet with some of them the day before, some workout trainings, and when they met me, it's like, I'm really glad to meet you, want to talk about it, interested in to see your concepts of it. And then later that night, we actually took a bus to a brewery, one of the bigger breweries in Australia, and they took us on a tour. We got to see how their beer is made, their concepts of it, and then I see these boards. These boards are they're information boards. They're visual aids of tracking their metrics and how things are progressing and how things are going. And for somebody that's got a little bit of experience in the TPM world, I knew it was like, these are TPM boards. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, look at these guys. Like, yeah, that's good. I see these metrics here. It's good. That's good. And then, of course, at the end of a beer tour, guess what you get?
Beer. I wish I was there. I was like, why didn't I get the invite to this workshop? Like, this feels like a workshop for me.
Who would turn down touring a beer company? So we have beers, and they give a presentation. They're showing these metrics and where they were in their TPM journey. Like, oh, this is great. This leads right into our conversation tomorrow. I was, they're great stuff. So I talked to them more and more. And then I realized that as I talked to like 5 or 6, or I think it was 10 or 12 of those individuals, like, these guys know TPM and they're coming to my workshop tomorrow. I am hosting an intermediate level workshop, and these guys, they're not going to get value out of it.
Yeah.
So then I go back to my hotel at night. I change up a bunch of stuff, and last minute presentation that you haven't read, it didn't go well.
No.
Got some bad reviews, and but I mean, to your question, like, what is intermediate? Intermediate is just understanding, opening the gates. It's how you're going to build it's a project plan on how you're going to incorporate 100% of the workforce into autonomous maintenance. And I'm just recently finishing up a book, and they're referenced the Toyota Way, and that's actually a book that I keep stashed on my bookshelf in the back. And TPM is based off of it, but it's incorporating everybody into the work.
Yeah.
And intermediate is understanding, some of the basic steps into it of autonomous maintenance, planned maintenance, focus improvement, organizational continuous improvement.
Yeah.
It depends on
Like
different pillars.
having downtime scheduled, having the right parts available for the downtime, all the things that you would want to like think about in advance, so that way when you go to do the maintenance, it's a smooth and easy, maintenance exercise versus this everything is on fire all the time kind of
Yeah,
attitude.
that's exactly it. That's the concept of it. My delegates already knew that, and I was going to train them on that, and I realized I got to change that.
Yeah.
But when you talk about more advanced, you're talking about how to create essentially autonomy. So where maintenance was doing the work here, they become the trainers, and the operators become the ones operating or doing the maintenance on the equipment during those scheduled downtimes.
Yeah.
And they're the ones, the maintenance becomes the more advanced ones doing more the advanced work stuff
Yeah.
that they might an immature company might bring contractors in to do, but they're
Got
taking
it.
it over.
Got it.
That's probably the easiest way of saying it, but it's
So it's like coaching up. So basically you take somebody who would normally just be the person to raise their hand maybe and say, "Hey, I think this machinery needs repair," and then have maintenance come in to do the repair. This system is instead saying, "Hey, if you're the person who's going to raise your hand, let us teach you how to just do the repair right then and there." And then upstream, and we'll have the people who would normally just be like firefighting doing these little repairs that now the operators are doing work on more of the strategic maintenance plan, work on more of the bigger maintenance schedule, and kind of being more of strategic leaders than tactical doers, where the operators who were more just hand raisers now become the tactical doers. That's really what it sounds like.
that's exactly what it is. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Easier said,
Yeah.
but it's a journey, and we've had other episodes where I talk about it's dying because people want short-term results right away.
Yeah. Quick. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's still going to stay alive, but you just got to bucket it. I think
Well,
it's sprints.
I also would make a case for, as we talk about as we prepare for our workshop of transitioning from 4.0 to 5.0, as we talk about kind of where this world is shifting with maintenance and also just manufacturing. I think there's a case to be made that maybe we might have pendulum swung too far into this direction of everything is burn and churn fast, almost like fast fashion. And we're going to be sliding back into this, like where companies might just start seeing the value in having a long term employees, and they start maybe investing more in the long-term employees and like the higher quality employees, where TPM then makes sense again. So, and I think that that's especially true if we're talking about automation and robotics and all these other things. Companies who are deploying that kind of technology are going to want people who are consistent and growing with the technology that they're deploying in their business. So if that's the case, then we might see a TPM comeback.
Yeah.
You know,
I haven't gone that deep into it, but I do have a stat for you.
okay.
And this is part of our workshop we're coming up with is it, it was either from McKinsey or Deloitte, but the stat showed that companies that invest in technology see around 3.5% increase in efficiencies. Companies that invest in people see around 8% efficiencies. Companies that invest in both see 10%
Whoa.
efficiency.
Whoa.
So the bigger number tells the story.
Yeah.
And I guess the question lays out there is like, how much training do they need? What I thought about this, in preparation for, as we're building this workshop, is that this is the case I've been part of so many times, that you get this new piece of a technology that comes in, and they do the right stuff. They do factory automated testing. They incorporate the operators into the decision making process. Just the logistics part of it, so that they know how to use it. They go through the training. They've got on-site support for like 30 days. They got a qualification system that meets all the expectations. And then a year later, that operator goes somewhere else. And the management approach is, Well, you're just going to shadow this other operator for 30 days. Okay, you know what? We got to move them. We're short on staff. It's going to be 10 days. Just ask them if you have any questions. And guess what happens a year and a half later? They're right.
Everything gets lost.
Everything gets lost. Everything goes back to normal, or goes back to the bad again.
It's funny that you're talking about that, because that's exactly what I was talking about in this article I'm publishing and in some other work that and what I communicate about what I do. Anybody could implement something, but if you're not planning the long-term management of the process that you're putting in place or the technology that you're putting in place, there is no point in implementing it in the first place. Because no system is just boop, you implement and boop, done. Boop, never touch it again. Boop. No. There's always going to be stuff that needs to be addressed. And I think that's where a lot of mid-senior managers lose sight of this. To be honest, I think that there's a real gap in their understanding about what it takes to put even a simple program in place. They think, oh, well, that should be a couple month little project for you. Okay, well, who's managing it on the long term? Did you think about that? Did you think about when the devices fail? Did you think about when they stop working, or when we change out these people or these trucks or these things? Somebody has to be there to do the oversight and to keep the program alive. So there's, yes, the birth of the program, but then there's the nurture to keep it alive and well. And I think that managers really need to think about that when they're talking about implementing new technologies, new programs, new systems. It's not just the first push of getting it stable, but then it's also keeping it afloat throughout the duration of the program. And that's what you're talking about there. So yeah, I think I'm excited about this workshop too. I don't want to give too much away to our audience, but anybody who's interested, AW and I are building an amazing workshop that's going to be offered out to our audience and other executives this September. So if you're interested, our contact information is in the show notes. And we've got lots of good stuff planned. A lot of what we talk about here in much deeper detail and over the course of a much longer time horizon. So I think, AW, are we clocking out?
That's a great cliffhanger. Yes.
Okay.
We're going to clock out like finished goods.
We're out of here like finished goods. See you guys. Bye.
This is Factory of the Future, and we are out of here like finished goods. Stay tuned for our next episode of Factory of the Future, where we're exploring groundbreaking techniques and behaviors that are reshaping industrial landscapes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review and help others discover the cutting-edge insights transforming manufacturing as we know it.